was.
So of the things that you did see from the Kings last night, obviously, I mean, that was a fantastic performance. What did you like the most of what you saw?
Honestly, I think defensively they were just so kind of connected and in sync and on the same page. And, I watched the Clipper game for Milwaukee the game before, and Dame came out and hit 4 straight threes in the first quarter, like halfway point of the first quarter. Because, the one thing with Doc now, there's a much larger focus on getting Giannis and Dame into pick and roll action. And it's like, how do you defend that? Because Giannis is such an athletic player and big, and his size and his ability to roll and put pressure on you in the paint. And then Dame, obviously one of the greats in terms of perimeter shooting. And they were in a drop the whole night. And I was like, oh my God, what are they doing? And I'm sitting there watching it going like, God, I hope the Kings don't take this approach with the pick and roll and go into the drop. And they didn't. They were really aggressive. Dame was a non-factor in that game. And, it was kind of like, okay, they're going to concede the fact that they can't throw 2-3 people on Giannis at all times because there's too many great shooters. There's too many people that can hurt you. So let's, try to do our best to contain him in single coverage. And then the rest of us just do a good job on our individual matchups. And, it was late in the game before they had a second scorer in double figures. And I thought just defensively, the Kings were so good. And what that is, it's like people ask questions about runs. Like, how do you stop a team from going on a run? Well, it's not about scoring buckets necessarily, right? That's the obvious thing. But how do you get the buckets? What kind of buckets do you get? And I thought last night the Kings did an excellent job of using their defense to create their offensive energy. And a lot of times I think with teams, especially that have a lot of 3-point shooters, they feel like they got to create their energy on the offensive end, and it just kind of spirals out of control for larger portions of the game because of that. So, the lull, I think it was in the third quarter where the Kings kind of struggled offensively. They scored 20 points, but held them to 22, was because, I felt like they stopped moving the ball the same way. One of my keys last night was you got to drive and kick. You got to get it into the paint, and you got to get those splash threes where the pass is coming from in front of you instead of, the dribble in transition pull up threes. And that was what they were getting more in the third quarter. So to me, it was just that their defense as a whole really did a great job of creating a ton of good looks and easy flow for them and rhythm on the offensive end.
Kayte, the fan base is understandably a little bit broken in trying to figure this team out. I put 2 different polls up yesterday. One was at halftime. The Kings were up 24. What?
You and your poll.
Yeah, me and my poll. Thank you. Kings up 24 at home in the third. Will the Bucks take the lead at any point? 71% of Kings fans said, yes, the Bucks will take the lead at some point. 29% said no. Now, the positive side is, I put up a second poll, the Kings are up 17 at the start of the fourth quarter. Will they win? 70% said, yes, they will win. There was some confidence there. So they trusted them there in the fourth. But when we look at these patterns, lose to the Bulls, beat the Lakers on the road, almost lose to the Spurs. Well, they beat the good team last night, which we thought they would. I don't know where to slot the Lakers now. Is this one of those they're going to be up for it on the second night of a back-to-back, or is this going to be a letdown game? What can this team do to break this roller coaster up and down and sweep a team that they have dominated, especially Domantas Sabonis, Anthony Davis, for the entire year?
Yeah, Domas has dominated Anthony Davis his whole career. I think it's like 9-0 now, or 10-0. So yeah, something like that against him all time, which is really wild when you think about it. What did we say? I think I talked to you. I can't remember. But what do you expect going into the Bucks game? Oh, I know what it was. It was our pregame, on the floor conversation with the pregame show. And, like, what do you expect tonight after, that last game? And I was like, well, I expect for them to come out and be highly competitive, because that's what we've seen, is that this team does a really fantastic job against teams that are dominant in this league. Like, you look at the standings of the teams above the Kings in the Western Conference now, really 1 through 6, right? The only team that has really dominated them is New Orleans. They're 3-0 against the Kings. And then the Clippers are now 2-1. Kings took care of them last time. But other than that, the Kings have done a terrific job against top-level teams this season, with the exception of Boston. That was kind of a spanking, but they've kind of spanked a lot of people at this point. And, I kind of look at it in the sense that this team understands that when they're facing top-level teams, that it's going to take everything that they have. And when they kind of face some of the lower-level teams, I don't know if I have to believe it's a subconscious thing where it's like, okay, like, it's a battle for 82 games during the regular season. Some of them you don't approach in the same way. And this is typical. Every single team does it. You kind of are like, okay, it's not going to take 100% effort tonight. Maybe it's only going to take 80% effort. And that's where you kind of get in trouble. So when you look at the Lakers, I think that they're a team that you consider a top tier team just because of the franchise and the fact that LeBron James is on that team. So I think they have been a team this season that the Kings have given their full mental focus and physical ability to. So I expect, even though it's the second night of a back-to-back, for it to be the same tonight. And if you look at it, I think the Kings started 0-4 in second night of back-to-backs. And I think they're 5-1 now or something like that. They've done a really good job in the latter part of the season. And with the implications, obviously, in the play-in situation right now and how just brutally close the Western Conference is, I think that you're going to get a good effort.
Kayte, another good night for Keon Ellis. Again, stats don't always jump out, but he's more than that. What do you see from him? What's he providing for Mike Brown?
Oh, man. We had him mic'd up last night, and that was a fun thing to be able to hear him on the broadcast. And for him to step in and really take on the challenge of, picking up Dame Lillard. And it was an interesting change. Obviously, you don't want Keegan to miss games because you miss a lot when he's off the floor. But I thought it was interesting that it was Keon that was in the starting lineup. But I see why Mike Brown chose that, and I think it was the right decision because you put him on Dame Lillard. You kind of move De'Aaron Fox off the ball a little bit, which takes expends a little bit less energy for him throughout the course of the game. You put Kevin Huerter at that 3 spot, which he has the size to be able to move over into that position. But Keon has just been, very consistent in the month of March, particularly of when he comes in defensively, knowing that he has to make an impact. And that's where really his impact can be felt. But because he's been playing more over, the last, this month or so, you're also starting to see a little bit more confidence with him offensively. And he's a very capable offensive player, but you see it with Chris Duarte, you see it with Davion Mitchell. It's been the same thing as of late. When you don't play for large, segments of the season, and you might have 10, DNP CDs, in a stretch of 12 games, you don't have any flow offensively. And then you come in and you're expected to make an impact. Well, with all of those guys, Keon included, there's just more confidence and flow to their offensive game. But there was a couple passes that he dropped, and we actually played some audio of him on the bench. I'm talking to one of the coaches behind the bench about why he didn't go crazy with that dunk. And he goes, well, I had dropped 2 passes before, so I wasn't going to make a mistake again. And to me, it's just, again, it's timing. It's time on the floor with that starting group. We saw a lot of different, groups of 5 last night because of the injuries, and then Trey Lyles went out in the game. So I really applaud that second unit. They have been so solid, and obviously Malik Monk kind of heads that whole thing, and Trey Lyles is wildly important. And so, all of the other guys, it's really hard as a guy coming off the bench because you have to find a way to be impactful in short amount of minutes when you're coming in the game cold. So Keon got the chance to start, and I thought he's just, he's being very consistent, and his minutes they're positive with him on the floor.
Just me. I didn't bring my glasses last night. Is it just me, or with a little bit of a facial hair adjustment, Like, was it Jalen Slauson and Chris Duarte? Like, they could be cousins. Does anyone else notice that they kind of?
Oh yeah, at the beginning of the season, I'm like, I'm gonna get these two mixed up.
Seriously,
even Colby Jones.
Yeah,
Colby Jones too. Like when the three of them were on the floor together, it's like the Spider-Man meme.
Yeah,
yeah, the three of them. But it's like as you're around them a little bit more, like it's so easy for me to point out even without seeing, jerseys.
Yeah.
Like I can point that out easily now, but at the beginning of the season, I'm like, oh my God, which one is this? Like, it's so true. There's three that they're kind of, look like they could be brothers.
A couple people on the chat line, you know this on our chat line, especially YouTube, your fan base is absolutely, without a doubt, maybe the strongest anywhere. They love you. And I was at the game, so I didn't hear this. Otherwise you would have gotten a text. Because I love those Kayteisms.
It's not a Kayteism. It's a live TV thing where you got a producer in your ear. You're looking at a stat sheet. You're trying to follow. You're trying to chart. Like I chart every single possession, so that I can of how many stops in a row, how many baskets they've made, turnovers, that kind of thing. What kind of turnover? Like I chart all that stuff. So this game happens so incredibly fast that there's times where I look down real quick to chart the play, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I just miss? So I do not doubt that I said, that backwards.
Well, and being at the game and she was saying I was just to her right looking over. I'd look at Kayte sometimes during the breaks or whatever. And I forget sometimes. What?
Stop stalking me.
You were looking at me first. Anyways. So I look over and, just say hi or whatever, see what's going on. Moke's there. She's there. Jody was there on the line, as I said earlier. And Kayte, you are what people miss on the TV is like when they go to break, I swear, like literally half the breaks, if not more, you are so animated. And I want so badly to know what you're saying, but whoever you're talking to, I'm assuming it's Ro or somebody in your ear, but you're doing hand gestures and like the whole thing, like a maestro or something.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I was unaware of that, but yeah, that's also, that's kind of how I talk in general.
That is true.
The only reason it's not happening during the game is because I'm charting, probably. And then, I'm working with Kyle, and, he's extremely animated during the game.
Do you guys ever accidentally hit each other with your hand gestures during the game?
No, but I definitely have, like, hit Mark before and, like, grabbed him. But it was like a, oh, my God play, right? But no, Kyle, I think Kyle is up to 3 pairs now this season that he's broken. Yeah.
3 what?
Chairs.
Really?
Yeah.
Seriously?
That's when there's a crazy play. He jumps out of the table or out of the chair, and he knocks the table, and
Kyle.
The same with both Mark and Kyle, and I don't know if it's a personality thing with play-by-play versus analyst or whatever, but Dave, you guys know me really well. I'm very meticulous and OCD. So when you look at my table, I have my charts perfectly linked. I don't have a bunch of papers. I want to be able to easily access everything. I've got everything in its place. And you look up at Mark and Kyle's, section in front of them, and it looks like a bomb room. And, half the time I'm taking the notes from our statistician and I'm throwing them in the garbage, or I'm taking, the stat sheets from that we've compiled throughout the game, and I'm throwing away tea bags, and I'm throwing away, like all the stuff that is just like building up next to me. And I'm like, I don't know how they function. I truly don't. And that's just, it's the difference between, personalities, I think. But it's, it can get a little crazy over there for sure. And I definitely have hit some people before.
Someone else brought up, and you would be able to answer this. We know Dave is famous for his love of popcorn.
Yeah.
Is there something going on with Kyle and popcorn that you can address?
Somebody said he's challenging me for like a popcorn cake.
Dude, Mark is the popcorn king. I mean, he might have 3 boxes during the course of the game, and he considers himself a popcorn connoisseur because he obviously is in all the arenas a lot, especially with his ESPN stuff, and so he's eating popcorn at every arena, and he swears that the Golden One Center has the best popcorn. But last night, Kyle did have some big bag of like cheddar popcorn and like a big old bag of candy. Like I have no idea what that was or where it came from. But it did disappear before the game started.
This will not stand.
Mark and Kyle.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a popcorn throwdown.
Yeah.
I mean, I may not. I'm not quick, but I can last a long time when it comes to eating a ton of popcorn.
You have staying power.
I have stamina.
Yes.
I have popcorn eating stamina.
Okay.
I'm not like hungry hippo,
Yeah.
but I can. All right. Last thing, Katie. Before we let you go here, hey, what say we talk politics real quick? Are you okay with that?
Sure.
Okay. Did you hear that your guy is on the short list for the vice president position?
Yeah. Oh my God! What in the world?
Now, everybody relax before we get into this. We're not getting pulled. There's nothing to do. I don't care if you love or hate. Stop. But Aaron Rodgers is on the short list, apparently, for Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s running mate on the independent presidential ticket. I guess my first question is, if he's planning on, he's supposedly going to, I mean, he almost played in he could have played in the last game. So it sounds like he's going to be healthy. My only legitimate question is this, not that you know the answer, Katie, I don't, but if that were to happen, if it was a Kennedy Rodgers 24 ticket, like, does the dude play and campaign? How's this going to work, Katie?
Are you really taking this seriously?
Well, I'm saying it's a real story.
This is kind of a general theme of politics these days. Are we taking it seriously, or are we just living in a terrible nightmare right now? Listen, Aaron Rodgers, I freaking loved that man. He was a Packer. I'm a Packers fan, obviously. I have mad respect for his game. But, like, I don't know. I haven't seen, like, a Packer Kool-Aid in a long time. I think it's all in his possession. He's drank all the Kool-Aid. He's all off on some kind of weird. I can't even go there.
He's not the man you remember.
No, he's not.
He's changed.
He's changed.
It's not the Aaron we knew.
Yeah, I saw that last night, and it was with some of the PR people from the Kings, and I saw it, read it, and I was like, oh my God. And they're like, what? And I was like, did you see the Rodgers thing? And everyone was talking about it. So I don't really take it seriously. I don't care if he campaigns. I don't think I don't know that it's ever going to get to that point, but who knows? Maybe it'll shock all of us, and we'll finally see. Can I put someone on the ticket? Can I put Harrison Barnes on the ticket?
I would vote for Barnes
or something.
Put him on the top of the ticket. I'm voting for him. Swear to God. Harrison Barnes 24. Hey, how about Barnes Murray 24?
Yeah.
Can you imagine the rallies? Keegan Murray.
Very short speeches.
Right. Very, very
short.
vote for us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do a good job.
Like, are we going to do this right now, or?
Yeah, that'd be great. I got wiggle.
I got practice.
By the way, one of our listeners saying they gave Kyle the cheddar, or they pronounced it chatter popcorn for his afternoon snack. So maybe that's a little bit inside baseball there.
Okay.
We'll find out. We'll have to talk about this. Kyle and Mark, popcorn connoisseurs.
Coming up later on the drive.
On the drive, we'll discuss the popcorn habits of Kyle and Mark. And has Katie finished all of her homemade dog food preparation? We'll get to that shortly.
My goodness.
By the way, I'm going to finish with a personal question. Did Jade end up finishing her chicken nuggets? Because that was happening on the phone the other day, and she was there. There was a little bit of an argument about dinner, and Katie said, "Go back and finish your chicken nuggets, and then we can talk about the candy or whatever."
This child is like a candy monster. Like, all she wants right now is candy, and so as a parent that is desperately trying to deal with eating issues and all that, like, it's always incentive. But it's amazing how she miraculously will drop at least one chicken nugget on the floor, and the dog will eat it. Like, ooh,
smart.
I didn't need to do that. Yeah. So I am not dealing with an amateur.
No,
to say the least.
No, because I heard on the phone call, the one thing I did hear towards the end of the phone call with Katie was, and I quote, "Fine, give that nugget to Dolly. Don't waste it." So that's just feeding into her hands, Katie. Got to be honest. All right, that's Kayte Christensen, play-by-play voice, analyst of your Sacramento.
Right, Dave.
Play-by-play voice of her world, privately, analyst publicly of the Sacramento Kings. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful week. Congratulations on the Aqua outfit, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay,
bye.
That's Katie. We'll take a break when we come back. what to watch tonight. We'll clean up the rest of the program, and then we got a little bit of crosstalk.
Yeah.
Alice Watkins, celebrity birthdays, and more. Don't